Rabbi say it's my honor and pleasure to be with Rabbi Zalman Shmukler, a seasoned shchita from well-known shchita from Los Angeles, California. And to make a long story short, I say that in the sichos from the Friedrich Rebbe, he always stresses that from the people in the shtetl that you knew that had most Yiras Shamayim was the shchita, because you put a tremendous amount of faith in his ability and his trust. So Yiras Shamayim is a restriction that's mostly needed for a shchita. So I started by asking a personal question, if you would like to answer, Rabbi Zalman Shmukler, how long are you doing the mitzvah of shchita? Actually, there's a machlekes between the Rambam and the Ravid if shchita is a mitzvah. The Rambam holds it's a mitzvah, and the Ravid says es nicht kein Fleisch, it's nicht kein mitzvah. Anyways, so there are this. But how long is he involved with the mitzvah of shchita? He says he started in 1969. And he started telling me what got him into this fach, into this umnus.
As my family started getting larger and I needed more income, so I asked the Rebbe, actually 13 propositions. 12 of them was all about business. And I had no desire to go into anything in Kaddish. But it so happened that the community in Montreal offered me that if I learn to become a sheikhet, there will be an opening next year because the sheikhet is going to retire. And at that time, a sheikhet made a decent living. So I asked the Rebbe, and the Rebbe encouraged me, but when I wrote in that letter, he underlined shchita.
Mm-hmm. So shchita is not in the family blood, right?
My Zayda was a sheikh, but I never saw him. But the idea was that I didn't want to be a sheikh, but it so happened so. So I learned for 1 year under Zalman Shmukler, and when I finished, someone else came and took the job. So I felt that, look, I'll think, Hashem knows best. And I didn't mind. But then after 6 months, I was approached by the community of Ottawa that maybe I want to become a sheikhet, and because the sheikhet retires, so I said, I'll ask the Rebbe. So I asked the Rebbe if I should take the job. The job entailed is a 2 hours drive by car from Montreal, and it's only like 1 half a day or 2 half days, Monday and Tuesday. So the Rebbe approved I should take the job, but on one condition. I should come home for Shabbos. And I didn't understand the condition because it's a 2-hour drive. And why would I stay in another town a whole week? Stay there for Shabbos. My job was only Sunday, Monday half a day, and maybe Tuesday. But after 2 years on that job, I understood how the words of the Rebbe literally saved my life. Because one day when I left on Sunday, travel in the winter, it was a hard winter, with the car, it so happened there was a blizzard, a big blizzard, and literally I couldn't see anywhere where I'm going, nobody can see me, and so I got off the road and got stuck in a snowbank, and nobody can see me, and I'm not going to go into details. The snow in Montreal, when they used to push all the snow in the snowbank, literally it's like covered the car. So I'm sitting there for half an hour.
This is Friday afternoon.
This is Sunday going there.
Oh, wow.
And my heater in the car didn't work.
Oui.
So after half an hour, I decided maybe I'll warm up in Gehenim, it was so cold. So I got ready to move, and that was it. All of a sudden, I hear a knock on the window. There is 2 colored people, and they asked me if I need help. I said I sure do. And they had a Ford pickup drive, the
Four-wheel drive.
four-wheel drive. And they asked me if I have a shovel. I said yes. They dug me out of the snow, pulled me out, and I came home for Shabbos. So I understood that 2 years ago when the rabbi gave me that okay to become a shchita, he also gave it with the insurance policy.
Oh, wow.
I should come home, and thanks God, it was a big miracle.
Now, this is the humility of Rabbi Shmukler, because he says it's not in his blood and it's all Eved Avram Anoichi, but I could tell you that his sons, some of his sons and some of his Adams, all learned shchita by him, and Baruch Hashem, it became a family tradition, this shchita. Okay, so Rabbi Shmukler, now I'm going to get to some of the halachas that we're learning. And one of them is relevant today. Today is Isru Chag Shavuos. Isru Chag Pesach, Isru Chag Pesach. Isru Chag Pesach this year is on Tuesday. So there's haste. Okay, nobody shecht Erev Pesach. I'm sure shchitas are not open Erev Pesach, right? So if today is Tuesday, the last shchita was on Thursday. What happens to the late shchitas on Thursday afternoon? They're not going to, I mean, from your experience, I know you're in the shchita side, not so much in the malicha side, right? But what happens, what happens to these late shchitas where they're not going to get to do the malicha or whatever until today, Tuesday or Wednesday? What in your experience, because I heard from one of the Lubavitcher Shachtim, a chiddush nifla, from Rabbi Darren said that Zalman Shmukler paskin. He says in Pittsburgh he paskin that because it's Basar Shashah Gimel Yamim, so he allowed that the meat after the shchita should be on a hook, and it should go slowly by itself in the water, because a guy can't start eingehen alone during Shabbos, and a yid will not start eingehen Shabbos. So he allowed if the meat is put on the hook. And slowly gets dunked in by itself during Shabbos, he extends it.
Never.
So what? I'm sure your experience, you've had this.
I don't think. The only places where I observed the mlich and everything was by Agri.
Yeah.
And I never heard that in Agri they should have such a.
So what happens? So what happens when these are extended holidays? Typically.
From what I heard is that they used to have, like you say, goyim
coming in. But you have to have a mashgiach.
So they came in a Eid, whatever it was, a mashgiach, and they
did it on Shabbos. Or on a Sunday.
I would say I don't believe on Shabbos, but they would do it on a Yom Tov. Not on a Shabbos, because in other words, they can do it on the second day, you understand me? Not to wait for the third day. So if the second day is out of Shabbos, they do it the second day, and then you can wait another 3 days.
Take a dogma like us, like this day, this Vuma Houghton yet. If there was any shchita on Thursday that they were not meleach yet, how did they buy the extra time for today?
So if they did it on Thursday, then you have it Friday, Shabbos, Sunday is the third day.
But Sunday is the Yom Tov.
Right, so you do it on Yom Tov. That's
Yom Tov is better than Shabbos.
Yom Tov is ich bin nicht der größte Pesach, but I think it's much easier because it's you can take some meat and cook it and eat it.
Right.
So it's much easier than on Shabbos. Shabbos is much more stringent.
Now, some of the other halachas that I'm sure you've shechted all around the world. How does it usually work when you shechted overseas, right? So do they do the malicha overseas?
Yes.
Always, every time you shech.
Right.
So
actually, I was involved with gluten meat. With the gluten meat, they didn't make any coolers like that.
But I heard that they used to shecht in the Uruguay and Argentina and freeze the meat and maybe send it to Israel. Is it never happened?
Maybe to Israel, I don't know. Could be, but how much I know there, they had right away on the spot. They used to make it
Malicha.
right on Malicha. And not only that, that in America, the USDA doesn't allow you to break up the meat before 24 hours.
What says break up the meat?
You know,
So
the,
put it
to,
in
do
pieces.
to cut it up and to do anything with it.
They wanted a whole piece for
The
24
whole
hours?
24 hours, you cannot touch the
What's
meat.
the USDA judgment? The
I
health?
don't know. I think that it's
Bacteria?
better. No, I think it's when it cools off, so the fats in the animal stays in one place. The fats does not, like I say, melt. You know.
And that's
now,
it?
Now, so when you start cutting, and it's still fresh, so the schmaltz, the fats, starts moving from one area to another. So you don't have the cuts are not so beautiful. It's not so.
It's just a technical.
But I think, but this is.
So how does it help us? How does it help? In what ways are it different to us?
No, to us, it makes no difference, really.
Right.
It doesn't make a difference. But I want to say is that in Uruguay, in these countries, they don't have this special stipulation.
So they cut it down right away.
Right away, it goes into the production. So right away, you soak it and you salt it. I'm just saying.
So because me'ikar adin, you could be meleach a ganze Zeitel at one time also.
Right.
It doesn't make a difference.
Right.
Now let me ask you another question. So could I fairly summarize what you just said? That most of the galat shchita houses are also meleach. When did this whole deal start? That the shchita also did the malicha. When you started learning shchita, shchita was one place, malicha was...
And it went to the butcher, and the butcher did it.
Okay, so when did this start? It's one shop stop.
When they started, I would say, the big
Commercial
production.
And it helped. Didn't it solve a lot of shilas by having it all?
It solved many shilas because when it was sent to private butchers, so you need the pneumonas, you know.
Too many people, too many slaughters.
The butcher is going to do it correctly and everything. Here, you have one mashgiach, and he supervises and he sees. Right. So, and you can be more also. It's organized, you know, it's systematic and everything.
So what was the whole controversy about frozen meat shipped? You remember anything about over?
There was something about freezing it, and if it's okay.
Before the malicha.
Right. But this was something that, but it never had anything enough. It didn't relate to us. In other words, it's something from this country.
From letters from the Rebbe then.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it not in America.
I thought it was a common thing that from Argentina, Uruguay, they shipping the flesh
to Israel, right? But I'm just saying it did not. This was something with the Rabbanut that but we have no knowledge actually or had no experience in these things.
Okay, so another controversy. Right now, is a lot of places that are giving Bechlal a hard time for shchita, right? A lot of countries. One of the things they want is you to shoot the animal, right? The goyim shoot the animal. How do the goyim?
They shoot the animal.
So, have you experienced problems where throughout your places?
We had the problems, and
the shooting the animal after you shech is the problem that the dam is perish mamak. Is that the problem?
No, it's if it's not yet dead.
So you didn't shech it?
It didn't shech it like.
So they shoot it right. The problem is that they shoot it too fast.
If they shoot it right away, see that like the goyim don't want the animal, you know, to get out of the box right away, because the animal really after the shchita is still, you know, if an animal, let's say if an animal the sheikh did not shechet the vridim or something.
Yeah.
So the animal can literally run around for half an hour.
So for safety, they don't want to.
For safety.
Okay.
And
nothing else. Nothing else. Not in Tzar Balachayim. Not this Peter movement.
In this country was Maybe in other countries that they didn't want to shchita biklal was beside Sarbal Chaim. But here was not about Sarbal Chaim. It's just a safety precaution for the workers, So they.
And
so,
why is it a halachic problem for us?
Because if it's not yet, if the behemoth is still, like say, a geses, it's not yet, it's not fully
Dead.
So
Then the
I
shchita
don't
didn't
know.
do the mitzvah.
So I mean, I'm not. I don't know the details, but that's the bayah. Is that
I was told there's another baya. The meshuta animal, the dam is pirish mimakim mimakim, and then the melicha doesn't can't be pilot the dam. Is that all you had bring them?
I know that, but the other problem about perish that the blood moves is when what they did is that after the shchita, they use electric shock.
Yeah.
Now, this electric shocks is special.
To make the what for? Why do they do
It is special to break the cells
Uh-huh.
of the animal, so it becomes softer.
Oh, yeah, no.
It's for the quality of the meat.
Yeah. And
and
do they do that right away?
No, but even afterwards, if that was, they do it really right afterward, because if it's already, it doesn't
late.
help.
Right.
It's too late. So it's still, the animal is still, like I say, conscious in a certain extent. So they do it, and that is a very big bayah.
And they still do it today?
But we don't let the kosher. If you have a kosher production, you don't allow them to use the electric.
So the shooting is also the same problem.
The shooting is, I think, it's not about, I don't know, but I don't think that has to do with the moving the blood, about the liquor.
You think it's more about the
It's more
kisisa?
about, I think, the shchita itself, how you. That's what I think. Like I said, I don't.
I must tell everybody that Rabbi Shmukler, I just pulled him out of the shul for Ma'ariv. It's unprepared, so we'll not hold him against. Rabbi Shmukler, I don't want to keep you for too long. Please tell us, Baruch Hashem, you're doing this for 50 years, Ibrahim Yovo. Tell us a story, something, a limud, from your experience that a simple, me and everybody else watching, you have to be careful. I know Nishtankadach, I don't know how many years ago it was, 10, 15 years ago, there was a story in this city where we are in, I'm not going to say what city it is, that there was a butcher that they found that the Rangafar backed in non-kosher. So what could you tell us something about what?
Yeah. Just one second, it's my wife.
Okay, just 1 second. I'm just going to turn it around.
Hello?
This is a show, outdoor show right now.
I don't know.
So you want to read, you know where they live, right?
Yes. Okay, you want me to pass it on?
Yeah,
Okay.
just-
Okay.
1 second.
Let me just, okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I'm still in shul, but
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Give us the younger Durs that have something to learn from your experience. Something Maisha Shaya Kachalya.
you need a lot of Siyata Dishmaya, not a lot, but only Siyata Dishmaya. I'll give you a little example, is that how the Rebbe's brachas literally saved me physically and spiritually, that I went to Shecht in Mexico, a lamb, for a butcher here in LA, and as we know that the animals have to be over 8 days old. They cannot be under 8 days. So what they do is they have the government in Mexico, when a lamb is born, they put on a tag with a number, and they know when it was born, which day, whatever. And then this tag, you cannot really change it or anything. It's very
Sturdy.
Right, very secure. Now, I went to Shecht, and I had a rabbi also in Mexico that was in charge, and we shecht young lambs, goats, lambs, and they used to check every number and everything. Now, I went one time and we did a few hundred, and they were supposed to ship it to the butcher here. And what happened was that by the border, the American customs, for whatever reason, they felt that it's not properly
Wrapped or whatever.
wrapped or whatever, and they would not
Allow it in.
allow it and went back. So I had to go again. So I went again, and a similar story happened. Again, something happened, and they became spoiled, and they did not arrive. Then a third time happened. So I said, this is not
Min Hashamayim.
right. Now, what we did like a good investigation, with the land, and we found out that this owner was a big expert, and he was able to change around
A big ganav.
a big kind of. And so the Rebishter,
The tag, in other words, the tags.
the tags were falsified.
Now you can't. A baby under 8 days can. You can't tell that it's a baby.
No, it's a baby, but depends if it's 8 days or it's 10 days
Wow.
or 2 weeks, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So, Pasha, literally, the Rebishter saved me from, this is something that hundreds of Eden eat, and how can you ever have a kapara for such a thing in your life? So the brachas of the Rebbe was unbelievable. I mean, I can literally write a book of how the Rebbe's brachas, I would say, saved in kashrus, I would say hundreds of thousands of Jews.
Wow.
I don't want to go into, because it's a lot of other things involved, but then I understood the Rebbe, made me a shliach, like, I should be a sheikh. I never wanted to, no way. I said, I'll never be a klikedesh. And but it's Bashgoka Protis, and I thank Hashem that, it's the book.
Baruch Hashem. So I'd like to conclude by wishing Rabbi Shmukler Arichus Yomim, Gesundheit, Arichus Yomim, not Chassidish Nachas from the Kinder, Einiklach, and Orde Einiklach, Gesundheit,
I want to add something.
Yeah.
I want to add is that if you analyze the mishpochas, okay, that are very strict in kashrus, you know what I mean, with the meat and with other things and with Pesach, the Rebishter helped that alle Kinder sind ehrliche Kinder. And that's its effect. I can like say, pick the families, and I know how their standards of kashrus is, and that affects. And there's I don't remember exactly, but the Friedrich Rebbe said that the downfall of American Jewry has to do with the kosher meat.
Yeah.
That they did not, they were fed, not, it was so-called kosher, but it was not really kosher. This was the downfall of American Jewry.
Messiah Betoiv.
And the Rebbe should helfen us, we soll essen am Shera Bar, das wird ein sicher kosher.
Amen. Thank you, Rabbi Shmukler.